What's good, everyone? This is Dr. Nee Darko. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so that you're always up to date on the new uploads as well as alerts on this show. The other thing that you can do to help build this community is make sure you leave a comment below. Let us know what you like, what you don't like about the show, and ultimately, let us know who's winning these arguments, because I need to know that I'm beating Renee in these debates. Run the tape.
All right. So, like I said, we have a question about the residency interview from Vincent O. It sounds like Vincent might be a maybe MS 3 or 4. But the question says, I suggest you do an episode on residency interviewing skills, one-on-ones, panel, group, how to answer common interview questions like tell me about yourself, how to leave a positive, lasting impression. A role play with Dr. Renee would be great. I don't know if we're going to do a role play.
All right, let's jump right into this. I'm going to knock on the door and then we're going to jump right in.
No.
That's what we're going to do.
No, I don't want to do that.
Yep, that's what we're going to do.
I don't want to do that. Like, this makes no sense. I don't want to do that. Can we just talk about the question? Don't come in. He's knocking on the door. Don't come in.
Hi. I'm prospective.
Yeah,
I'm prospective student doctor Nee Darko.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in coming to the school. So let's talk.
Yeah. Okay. So to answer this interview question, let's talk first about kind of the gamut of questions, right, that you mentioned, right? One-on-ones, panel, and group. And people may not understand, especially the difference between panel and group, right? So the one-on-one is very easy. You meet with an interviewer, you're the student candidate, and they're the interviewer, and you're just kind of having a one-to-one conversation. The panel is actually when you have a panel of interviewers, right? So you're one student, one candidate who's coming in, and you're getting a panel of people, and they're asking you questions. They're firing questions at you. And then the group is when you have a group of students, a group of candidates being interviewed, potentially by a panel and or one other person. So I think that's important to kind of decipher.
How common are these things?
So I think the one-to-one is actually the most common. I personally have not had, and over the years have not had students tell me that they've either had a panel or a group. Definitely not a group. Maybe a panel.
Have you seen panel for residency? I've seen panel for residency.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Maybe a panel, but definitely not a group. Right? Group I would see more for medical school, but not for residency. I have not seen that.
And then what about virtual?
Virtual, so it seems like now most people are doing a virtual component, right? Most programs since COVID have moved to the virtual interview, and many candidates are now doing the virtual component. I still prefer, if I were interviewing, I'd have to say I would still prefer to go and see the place, especially if you're not very familiar with the hospital, because you don't know what. Let me tell you something. Seeing the hospital can tell you a lot about that place. A lot. Mm-hmm. I remember I went on one interview, and I went to this hospital, and the hospital was so old and dingy. I was like, there is no way.
So the school was at the hospital?
So no, this was a community program.
Oh, this is a residency program.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was a
not
community
a med school.
program.
Okay,
right.
I'm thinking med school and stuff.
No. Residency. So when I visited the hospital, I was like, this place is so dingy. I didn't even rank it. I was like, I would rather not match than to end up here for 4 years. I was like, I cannot think of myself being here for 4 years. So, I mean, I know a lot of people are doing virtual interviews and just kind of, it saves money, it saves time. I get that. But if there is a program that you really, really like and they give you the opportunity to do it in person, I would actually recommend doing in person. So
it can get expensive. So
absolutely, it can get expensive.
Look, I don't know. I don't know the answer to all of this stuff. I think that if I had an opportunity, I'd probably just try to do like half and half. Half at virtual interviews at places that I wasn't ranking very high, and then personal interviews at places that I was ranking very high. Because I just remember it being expensive from, getting a hotel flight. Like I remember the first time I had my experience with Priceline, and I completely messed it up.
Priceline.
Yeah, I had an interview at Meharry, right? I had an interview at Meharry. This is for med school. And I didn't know how I was going to pay for a flight to get to Tennessee. So I said, I'll try Priceline. And this is, if I tell y'all, this is like 99. Right? So this is like the early, this is early Priceline. 98, 99. Yeah, I'm old. And I just remember buying a ticket through there, and I made a mistake as to when I was supposed to get there and so forth. But guys, remember, this is not the Priceline that you know now where Priceline finds you the best price. This is, no, you're bidding. You're bidding for a price.
I remember that.
And they come back to you with a price. So you say, I only want to spend $200. And they're like, okay, well, your flight will leave at 4:30 in the morning and get there 5 days later.
Right.
And you're going to stop at the North Pole and you can't do anything about it. And I'm like, so that's what happened to me. It wasn't that exaggerated, but it was a very inconvenient time of leaving and a very inconvenient time. As a matter of fact, it was like after I was supposed to interview.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And I couldn't get my money back. And, you know, like I had spent like on a credit card, like $200 something, which for me was a big deal back then, right? Like we're talking, you know, I'm not even, well, we're talking I'm 20 at that time, right? I'm 20 or 21 at that time. So for me, using my credit card, losing out on $200, that was a big deal. I was embarrassed to even go to my parents and ask them, you know, what to do. I never asked them for help in that situation. I just kind of figured out a way to pay it back and stuff. Probably still paying it back right now. You know,
$4,000 later.
Right. So that's why for me, it was just like, all right, like, if I had to do it again, I would just say probably half and half. Yeah. You know, because, you know, nowadays a lot of people are ranking, applying to a lot of different schools, you know, just to increase their chances of getting into that one place. And I get it. You know, what happened 30 years ago is the same thing that's happening now. Right. So, I would try to do that.
Half and half. Yeah. No, I agree with that strategy. I think that's a smart economic.
It's a blast from the past.
It's a cost efficient. Solution. But one of the questions that, you know, Vincent wanted answered
I'll find it for them.
Was kind of answering that common interview question of, tell me about yourself. Let me tell you something. That is one of the hardest questions.
I feel like it's a trick.
It might be, but it's one of the hardest questions to answer. No matter what, no matter where you are in the process, right? Whether it's pre-med, or
why is it a hard question?
It's hard because there's so many things to say about yourself. Number one, people feel like there's so much to say.
I'm a people person.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what not to say, but in a second. But people feel like there's so much to say. That's number one. Number two, people think that they're bragging if they say certain things, and people don't want to brag.
Correct.
And that's a huge problem because if you look at it as a opportunity to brag, right, which bragging has a negative connotation, then two things are going to happen. Either you are going to brag and you're going to come off cocky, or you're not going to want to brag and you're not going to showcase enough about yourself.
Okay.
So there has to be some sort of happy medium, right?
Why do they ask this question? That's what I want to know. Right, because they read your application.
Maybe it might be a blind interview, so you might not have somebody.
How often does that occur?
I don't know how often, but I mean, often enough. I get a lot of students who say that, you know, my interview was blind.
Okay.
Yeah. So they don't get your application. They just meet you. And
that's at that point, though. That's not all the time, though. That's if you get a blind interview, though.
Yeah, that's if you get a blind interview.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, let's say you don't get a blind interview, right? Let's say someone has read your file. Someone has read all of these different things, right? Because sometimes, at least from my perspective, what I'm seeing is the interviewer doesn't even know what they're going to ask you. Yeah. They just start asking you questions when they see you. Right. Yeah, so if they've gone through your application, they've seen your grades, they've seen your letter of recommendations. I don't know what else they get to see. What else is in there?
They might see your personal statement.
Your personal statement. So then when you come in, right, or like, why are they asking, tell us about yourself? Is that like a filler? Is that trying to see, are you someone who's braggadocious? That's what I'm interested in.
It might be. It might just be, you know, how are you going to answer this question? What is the most important thing that you want me to take away from this particular interview?
Should you be trying to go back and like, well, what did I write in my personal statement and stuff?
So you could pull bits and pieces. I wouldn't necessarily, you know, memorize word for word what you put in your personal statement. But one of the things that I tell students a lot of times is when you are asked that question, okay, understand that this is an opportunity to advocate for yourself, right? So you can say the word brag if you want, but the reality is
toot your own horn.
Yeah, the reality is this is the opportunity for you to advocate for yourself, right? Because who else is going to advocate for you? This is your opportunity to do that. So one of the things that I tell my students is figure out what the theme of your interview is going to be. If you come in with a theme of what your interview is going to be, what, you know, the overarching thing that you want this person to remember about you, that's where you start building it, is in that question.
Okay, so you're saying that you can take control of the interview, or you can have a sense of control.
I think
that's the other thing. A lot of folks just feel like they're walking into something and they don't have control.
Right.
So it's, well, how can I prepare for this?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But remember that the whole point of it is for you to be able to showcase yourself. So in that sense, absolutely, you have a lot of control over this interview. You may not have control over the questions that they ask you, but you have control over the answers. And so, you know, I call it, what do I usually say? Oh my gosh. I say, there's something that I usually say to my students, but, yeah, essentially you can be like a person on like a commentating, you know, interview, like news interview, right?
Like a pundit?
Yeah, like a pundit where they, or, you know, or somebody who comes in to, you know, to advocate for something, right? And they ask them a question and they spin that question, right, to whatever 3 points,
I see what
right?
you're saying.
So cable news your interviews. That's what I usually say to my students. Cable news your interviews, right? If you cable news your interviews, then what you're doing is you are coming in and there is a message that you want to give. You see, I'm already doing the politician hands.
That's the Kamala.
Right? That's the every politician.
That's what she does now.
Right? The politician, you know, the little fist with the thumb at the top, and then you just hit it, and you hit it, and you hit it, and you hit it. Right. Exactly. With that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Okay.
You remember where you were during that time? That was what, 99?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was it 99?
That's the same time I bought my ticket, I think.
Oh my God. It's the same day you bought your ticket.
That was crazy.
But yeah, you cable news your interviews in that you figure out what are the 3 things that you want your interviewer to come away with. And you theme all of your answers around those particular themes, right? So if you decide that your theme is going to be that you are
How about this? Let's say I'll do me, right? Mm-hmm. And then you give me your advice. So okay. I don't know. MCATs were
not MCAT. We passed way past MCAT.
No, I'm letting you know who I am, right?
Okay.
And then, but this is what I have and this is what I'm expecting, right?
Okay.
So you tell me, you give me your advice. So my MCATs are average. My letters of recommendation are, in my opinion, strong.
You mean your board scores or your MCAT? What are we
This
talking
is
about?
medical school.
No, we're interviewing for residency.
Oh, we are? Okay.
It's a residency interview question.
Oh, they did say that. Okay, sorry. My bad. My board scores are average, right? My letters of recommendation are strong, in my opinion, right? What did I say that's not? I mean, from the previous thing when you corrected me, because you still need letters of recommendation.
You said your MCAT.
But after that, then.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I said, okay. Anyway, so my board scores are good. My letters of recommendation are good.
Okay.
What else do you have to do for that? For your dean's letters? I mean, is a dean's letter is a dean's letter, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I am interviewing at my number one program that I want to go to. I haven't ranked it yet. This is the number one program I want to go to. This is surgery program. So give me your advice. What do I do?
So
remember, average board scores.
Yes. Okay. Which that's another thing that kind of sets this apart, usually from your kind of MCAT.
Didn't flunk any classes. And
okay. That, those things do matter.
Just the average student.
I get it. Mm-hmm. Right. But
good looking.
Good looking. Yes.
You see this, guys? Good looking. Keep going.
You done?
Hey, this is me.
Okay.
Theme it.
First thing that I would ask you is, what are the things that you think you're good at? Right? That's important.
That's tough.
But you have to pick something.
Okay, so what are the things that I'm good at? I'm good at, I'm really good at like, I feel like I'm good at like,
Dexterity?
I'm feeling good at dexterity, right? I feel like I'm really passionate in like following through on things. Like I feel like I work well in a team. What else? I really enjoy surgery. I really enjoy the aspects of surgery. So I feel like I'm good at like anatomy and things like that. It comes naturally to me.
Okay. So then I would ask you, how do you know that you're good at those things?
My grades. Right?
That's it? You know that you're good with your hands because of your grades?
My grades for anatomy are really good, top notch.
Anything else about right? Anything else about you being, really good at anatomy
I've done rotations, like I did ER and I did family medicine, and they let me do some suture like repairs and stuff. And they always comment like, student Dr. Darko, like your hand technique is really good. Like you seem to be able to, approximate very well. And you always anticipate, like if I'm helping them with their suture lacerations or any procedures, I'm really good at anticipating what they need next also.
Okay. Very good. Look at your face. Goody two shoes. Goody two shoes.
And I wear a bow tie when I go on my rotations. I wear a bow tie.
Yeah, very good. And also, you said that you were passionate about what now?
Surgery.
No, you said something before that.
Didn't I say that?
Was
anatomy or surgery? Anyway. I think I'm passionate about surgery.
Okay, you're passionate about surgery. Okay, how do you demonstrate your passion about surgery? Like what are some ways that you demonstrated that?
Well, I've done some research in surgery. Like, on my surgery rotation, I did some minor research. I'm constantly interested in like the different types of surgical fields. Like I'm really into like what neurosurgery is about, general surgery. Like I just enjoy the process.
No. How did you demonstrate that? That's what I want to know.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right? How did you demonstrate? Because so I'm making that distinction.
I was, what do you call it? I was like in charge of what's that thing?
What?
The interest group in my school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like president of it or whatever you talk. Do they still have surgery groups?
Of course they do.
At
like
schools?
The interest groups.
Yeah,
right?
interest groups. I was the president of that.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. You also stated that you are a team player. How do you demonstrate that?
All of my rotations, I'm always there to, assist because I realize that the only way that I can learn really is by one, humbling myself and realizing and letting people know like, hey, maybe I can assist you so that I can see what you're doing and kind of like see one, teach one. What do you call it? See one, do one, teach one, that type of thing. So for me, I feel like I'm always like in that team cooperative approach of, let me watch and see what you're doing or let me assist you. And then hopefully with that, you'll trust me to let me do something on my own also. So I'm always about making the team better. Okay.
So some of your answers were really good.
Okay.
And some of your answers were very generic.
Okay.
And that's what I work on with my students, right? I let them know you have the theme, but the theme cannot be you just generally speaking the entire time,
Gotcha.
right? What you want is stories.